Hey, I'm so excited to be back with you again. It's amazing when Barb gets back into her office, Facebook Lives are happening. I'm really excited to have Dr. Renee with me today. Is this our second or our third
our
Facebook
second.
Live? Our second.
Yeah.
So we did our first one several months ago. And one of the reasons I asked Renee to join me again is, number one, obviously she has a beautiful face. So she's easy on the eyes for everyone, right?
I'm going to be
second, that's okay. And then secondly, because, I think so often individuals start new things and they play tag with success. Like they have success for a short period of time. And then, like their practice goes up and then it slams back down. But Renee has grown and grown and grown and grown. And so I thought it would be an inspiration to all of you to listen to her story and hear the things that she is successfully doing in her practice. And remember, these have now become routine, right? So a system is something that we do. A system must be measurable, reproducible, innovative, and we must eliminate discretion. And so Renee has put systems into her practice that have now become a habit. And in order for something to be a habit, there has to be a cue, a routine, and reward. So let's talk about those things. And Renee, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice. And Renee and I were just talking about some secrets.
Ooh, yeah. I won't reveal anything.
With that. Everyone will know in the next few weeks. And no, it's not because Renee is pregnant with quadruplets. I asked already.
You did ask.
But you did have an exciting new practice member today.
Yes.
Or an existing practice member gave me some great news.
Yep, she is pregnant with twins, which is really exciting. And as I was telling Dr. Barb, those are my favorite types of patients. I love all my patients, but I really enjoy my pregnant patients because they tend to then turn into pregnant patients that have a baby that then they start that pediatric process from newborn. So it's instilled in them from the get-go and from the beginning, which is awesome. But I guess I'll touch on a little bit of those systems and procedures that I implemented. Really, it's what it started with is those vital stats in practice. And I think you even did a coaching call on it yesterday. About knowing those vital stats. So what are your collections to date? What are your new practice members? What are your adjustments to date? And then understanding those, breaking them down, and then goal setting from there. And then really looking at, well, what is working in my office? What do I have to change? What systems and procedures do I have to change? And then the biggest thing is continuing to look at those numbers, right? So obviously you do it through the boot camp, but then it's really important to quarterly. Like I've implemented in my office that I sit down with my office staff and I say, okay, quarterly, where are we at? What are we looking at? And then where are our goals for the next quarter? And how do we get there? And where are our strengths and weaknesses? And the nice thing about the boot camp, and I don't even know, somebody asked about joining, and I said, it's all there for you. Like everything is, the resources are all there. It's just, you have to implement them and you have to put them in and use them. And that's the biggest thing. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're saying, okay, well, if this is where I'm maybe lacking or what I have to grow in or do better in, it's either there's a resource directly right there. There's a webinar about it. There's already training on it, or you just post in the group and like, hey, I'm having a hard time with this, whether it's patient retention, whether it's bringing in new patients, whether it's something. Again, it's like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel if somebody already has a system in place for you that works. And then it helps with that continued growth. Like there's not just, hey, you stop here. There are things that you want to put in consistently and constantly. With there. Oh, Heidi! I can't believe you are from Maine, by the way, which is insane. We figured that out.
Getting together?
That's what we want to in November when she comes up with Dr. Rebecca too. So
yay! Yeah. I love campers getting together. Are you going to come to the slumber party?
In Atlanta. Are you having that in Atlanta?
Yes.
I go there often because I still have a really good friend who lives down there. So
is she a chiro?
No, she's a lawyer. But she's a good person to have. She does a lot of malpractice stuff. So
she'd be very interesting for all of us. That's for sure. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
boot camp intensive and a slumber party. Does it get any better than that? And just a shout out to Dr. Heidi, like, come on, girlfriend.
I know.
So, was it her first month in practice or her second month? What was it, Heidi? First month or second month that you just posted about with just making some big cash?
And she moved an office location too, right?
Moved. Like, talk about just wow. And I loved her Facebook picture that, you know, she's got her camera right there on the car and she's driving and she's got her kids in the back. In her second month.
Yeah.
And so, Heidi, if you're comfortable, you can pop in there. Like, what was that total? But you don't have to. And she's like running her kids back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So it's not like she's dropped mom duty while she like is rocking her practice. So woo, woo. So let's talk about that for a minute, Renee.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard some people say to me, I see all these great results that individuals are getting in the boot camp, but I don't have that kind of time. And I always say, do you know what kind of time they're spending? Because they don't usually just put it out there like, I'm spending this many hours. And it's interesting how, you know, like those negative agreements, right? Our subconscious programming says there's success, but I don't have the time to do that. Mm-hmm. There's great results, but I don't have the time to do that, even though they have no idea how much time. So what have you found about your time and success since you joined the boot camp?
Yeah, I think I've gotten better at time management because I've had to get better at time management. I was even thinking about that today too, with a lot of having these new practice members come in and then having reassessments and having reevaluations and reported findings. I've had to find the time and use my time better so that I don't get bogged down, so that I don't have to come home or I'm not late at the office and working on patient notes. So you really learn how to balance that. I mean, in the beginning, there might even be a training, I believe, I don't know what week it is, where it talks about where it talks about what are you doing with your time? Yeah. Like, how much are you spending? Like, if you really sit down and look at a day and keep track of hour by hour what you're doing, you have time. And the majority of the trainings and the videos are 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 14 minutes. Like, even the newer trainings aren't that long. And you can pause them and you can go back to them. It's about making the time. Like, do you have time to struggle? Like, no. So make the time to implement different things in your practice that you end up having more time. When you do things right, when you work smarter, not harder, you end up having a lot more time.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yep.
When you have systems instead of chaos, and you know exactly your 80-20 offer, like Dr. Natasha, she did that work and she was like, you know what? I figured out there's one part of my practice that makes 3 times more money than another part. She's like, why was I doing the other part? You know what I mean? Hey, there's Rebecca.
There she is, the other Mainer.
Girls, right there. Let's give it up for Maine. Woo, woo. Another doc that is totally kicking butt, Dr. Rebecca, just killing it. And another doctor being extremely consistent and something, and I posted on my Facebook page, what we really need to be mindful of isn't our time as much as our energy. And here's what I mean by that. Like, I was talking to a doc that's not in the boot camp today, and I said, oh, let me ask you this. How much time do you think the average American mom spends checking this? And so what they measured was, like every time that they went like that, like that they looked on their phone or clicked it. How many hours do you think that is?
A day?
Yep, every day.
I'm gonna say 5.
You're close. 6 hours a day. That's more than I sleep.
Yeah.
that they're on this phone.
Yep.
Right? But I guarantee that there are individuals who do that, but then say they don't have time to be successful.
Right.
And so to me, and I want to get your feedback on this, and Rebecca and Heidi and Petrina, I'd be interested in getting your feedback too in the comment section of, do we do we base our practice, like our work time, only on time that we're in the office? But what about all of the time at home when we're not seeing enough new people? And so we're always worried, like, oh my gosh, what if somebody's like Facebook messaging me and wants to come in as a new practice member? Or, I can't miss this, I can't miss that, because we're like so panicked about our business, or we're so worried about our business that at home, instead of being present time conscious with our family, we're really processing our business. Does that count as work time? What do you think?
I don't like it shouldn't like, and that's the thing about it too. And I think we talked about this a little bit initially in that first Facebook Live that we did, that it was, what am I noticing the difference? And it's, I can be at work when I'm at work, and I can be home when I'm at home. And that's the important thing. It's back to those systems and procedures and working smarter, not harder. And I would just, before I forget this thing I wanted to tell you, I think that what I've really noticed too is that my front office staff is like excited. Like they're constantly pushing for more and wanting more, because they know that like I've given them the tools to handle it. Which is cute, right? Exactly. Because you want everybody on board with it. You don't want somebody to also be panicked about like, oh, well, the phone's ringing and calling and all, and what are we going to do? Like they know what they have to do. And that's the best part about it too. And that there's, I have confidence in them and they have confidence in themselves to be able to handle really just about anything, and handle growth, which is good.
So let's talk about that for a second. What has been, and hi, Tommy, it's great to have you with us. What has been fundamental for you in training your team? I often hear individuals complain about their team, and I think, okay, well, either you hired the wrong person or you haven't trained properly. It's time to fire them. It's only one of those three things, right? So no way, no how, no desire. Mm-hmm. And I encourage all of you watching this to go ahead and take that. Either it's, I don't have the way to do it, I don't know the how to do it, or I have no desire. If they know the way and the how and they don't have desire, something's got to change. Mm-hmm. So what have you changed in training your team such that they have the confidence? They're like, bring it on, Dr. Renee, we got this.
Giving them precise things to do, like giving them exact, essentially like, here are my expectations of you and here are the tools to do that. And then also introducing them to some different stuff, like introducing them to some things in the boot camp where it's like, hey, if you don't exactly know how to do some of this, or I'm not really clear about it, like talk to me, we'll work through it together. I will give you the resources that I have to allow you to, again, have that confidence in yourself that you're able to do those things. And it's being really sure in myself of what I want them to do, and then telling them and showing them, and here are my expectations of you, and here's how we do it. So
that is awesome. So you're not just saying to your team, hey, ladies, let's get some referrals. And
right.
they're like, sure,
how?
We have no idea how to do that. We have like, what do we give to them? How do we introduce the conversation?
Right.
What do we do? So instead, Dr. Renee is going, hey, and there's Dr. Jessie, her first week in her new office. Woo, woo, woo. She's so proud of you, ladies, that you're going through and training them. So let's talk about this. Like, what is your training protocol? Do you guys do like a huddle every morning? Do you do a huddle before each shift? Do you have a specific day that you train? Are you doing like TMO? How are you doing that? Because I think that's a real challenge in a lot of offices, is having a well-trained team. And remember that a well-trained team, like Dr. Renee said, is a happy team. Mm-hmm. So if you really and truly want your team to get behind you, train them. Like set them up for success.
Yeah. I do a lot of, and I think I was big into it when I was an intern down in Georgia, and the office that I worked at, he would do a lot of, I guess, role playing, if you will. So it's, here's the situation, here's the scenario, how do you handle this? And so that it gives my staff the opportunity to understand, like, well, here are some different objections that you might hear. Here are some different things, and this is how I want to handle it. That's been the biggest thing. Either on Friday afternoons after our hours, because we're done at 1, or Tuesdays, when Tuesdays is kind of in-office stuff. That's been the biggest thing. It's not just here, this is how I want you to do it, but let's run through a scenario, more or less, of how that will work.
Nice. And so when when they're going through it, do you role play with them where they're in their role and you're the practice member?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Because I want to know, I might handle something differently, but I want to know their initial, I guess, instinct first. And I think that that's the best way. And then from there, you're welcome, Rebecca. That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing is how they'll handle some different situations. And Rebecca too. Like what's important is sort of bringing up some of those things in an interview process. I think has been helpful. It's like, okay, how do you talk about confrontational tolerance a lot in the office, because you're going to have people that come in and they might be having a bad day and you have just piled it on, not meaning to, by saying like, oh, hey, this is balanced too, or something. And they're sort of coming at you and how to handle that. So that's a really big thing. And being able to handle those situations before they come up, I think is important.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point. Hire slow, fire fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when you're in crisis situation in your office, like my CA just left and now I'm all by myself. Don't hire somebody just like super fast. Even if you think that they're going to be awesome, they still have to go through the interview process. And I find it's just so helpful to have them have a lot of hoops at the beginning of the cover letter, the resume, and the video. If they can't do those three things, or they want to kind of change it up or already ask for excuses, please recognize that people put forth their best foot at the beginning. And that's already their best foot.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I don't want that on my team. Somebody else just joined us, but I can't see your face. And you just gave a thumbs up. So pop your name into the comment section so we can say hello to you.
One of the ads, or when I go to hire, even if it's just for like a per diem or anything, there's a specific thing on there. It's I want your resume in PDF form, because I can't tell you how many times people sent in resumes and they were like still a Word document. So it's not just can you do this simple task, but can you follow directions all the way through? Those are like little things you just put in there. Like, is somebody reading the full ad and are they following the direction? And that's something as simple as a resume in a PDF form, because it's just the act of going in and saving it as a PDF and then uploading it there. It's those tiny things, those attention to details, because you don't want to, as your practice grows, spend a lot of time picking up and quality checking somebody else's work, because if you're doing it, why are you paying somebody else to do it?
Yes. And I like that, that's like the working interview. Everyone will tell you, I'm really good at this thing, or I'm really good at that. Great. Let's see it.
Right.
Let me see you figure that out. Let me see you do that. And the thing is they're going to have to show you eventually.
Right.
Why not do it before you spend the time, energy, and money to hire them?
Right.
It just seems to, I don't know, one of those energy savers, right? One of those time savers.
Right.
So when we were talking before we went on air, you had said, I had said that there are several women that I have talked to that really struggle with a pregnant mom after she's delivered to continue on with her care and bring her baby in. And you were kind of like dumbfounded, like, oh my goodness. Like I remember I even did, I don't remember if it was a Facebook Live, I think it was, about how to ensure that your pregnant mommies come in post-delivery. I want to hear what you have to say about that, because you do a really great job with it.
Yeah, it's just like anything else with any new patient who comes in. You want to instill that education part into them. You want to question those health paradigms. You want to do all that. And even though this pregnant mom is already a patient in the office, or they're coming in and so you already know that they're going to be there, it's the same thing. So it's that education portion about pediatrics and giving them information too, right? Like I don't wait till the baby is born before I say, hey, here's something that I give to a lot of parents when they're questioning chiropractic for their kids. Like, you're pregnant. Why don't I give this to you now? So it's just about introducing it slowly over time. I mean, if they come in at the beginning of pregnancy, like there you are, you've got 9 months to sort of instill that education process into them, and allowing them to ask questions and being able to have that research, have that information to them. Also, scheduling them when you know that you've got other newborns coming in, or that you've got new pediatric patients coming in, or existing pediatric patients coming in, and letting your current patients do a lot of that talking for you too, is huge.
Yeah. And, you know, something that I think is really important in that is to recognize that retention is education plus relationship. You know, so often when a doctor looks at their PVA and it's low, their first thought is, I got to spend more time educating. I'm not doing enough educating. And I want to tell you all that if you don't have a relationship with your practice members, the education isn't going to matter.
Right.
That in order for, you know, just like in the boot camp, in order for me to share education with all of you, we have to have a relationship. We have to have an understanding. We have to have trust already established, or why would you listen to what I have to say? Right? It's just going to be like in the sea of same. So I encourage all of you, and there's an upcoming live group call that obviously we do on Wednesdays. I'm going to do about retention and what are retention factors? How do we build greater retention? And I'll tell you, the majority of it is in our relationship. So take the time to develop strong relationships with your practice members, which everyone, please hear me, does not equal more time.
Right.
Does not equal more time, because here's the deal. If you're an hourly employee, then you get paid more for the longer time that you spend. If you waste time with your practice members because you feel like, well, that's what being a good doctor does, to take me a long time, to do things that aren't necessary, or to have these long conversations with them because people I really care. I'm telling you what, here's who's going to be in your practice: people who have nothing but time. Because people who have nothing but time have no problem wasting yours. So I've said this before, you know, like, I'm probably your ideal practice member. I'm a woman in my 40s still. I take good care of myself. I'm well educated and I have a high disposable income. Like, check, 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 right? If you waste my time, I won't be back.
Right.
Right. And that's so important for all of you to grasp. So whether you're live with us now or you watch this later, please recognize that if you waste people's time, they won't be back, or you'll have people who have nothing but time and they have no problem wasting yours and you wasting theirs. Yeah. So let's talk about what are some of you said, you know, providing education. What are your resources for that? Like, what is your system? Is it that at the end of the report of findings, they get a folder? Is it that you have videos that they watch? Is it based on like whiteboard topics where they're like, you have a series like in the sticky note system where we have 9 pitfall conversations and so on? How do you do that?
Yep. So a lot of it is, I like to use the whiteboard topic with it, right? Because it's as they come into my office, they'll sign in, and before they can even go to either room to get adjusted, it stares at them in the face. And I change it weekly, so it's always different and different colors. So it's always a different conversation or different information, and it's brief, right? Like you said, I don't need to spend 10 or 15 minutes with them talking about it. It's just a little bit of a seed of information, whether it's the restoration conversation or what's really popular in my office is almost like a question. Like, I think Dr. Heidi was talking about, like, she did the Jeopardy for strategies of healthy living. Patients really like to guess like the answer. So I think I did something when it comes to like spinal degeneration. Like, people really like guessing and then finding out it's like more than they thought it was. Like, there's, you know, more people over the age of 85, or it was over the age of 50, had like 85% degeneration in their spine. And they were like, what? How is that? And you have a really just kind of brief nugget of conversation for them. And then they pick up on that. So I use the whiteboard topics a lot. It's just easier. It's engaging and engages with the patient.
It's so easy. Yeah. It's so easy when you're doing whiteboard topics. I find too that it just like naturally flows into asking for referrals. Do you find that to be true as well?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because they'd always, what, like even today, right before lunch, a woman, she's like, oh, I've been trying to get my spouse in here. And I was like, well, here's what I always talk about too with people, or I give them something, they're not going to remember a 5-minute conversation, right? They're going to pick up on one part and you want it to be important. And somebody in the boot camp, it might have been Dr. Heidi, had something, a whiteboard topic that I used about, are your teeth ever clean enough that you would stop brushing them?
Oh, that's good.
And so I told this patient that. She's like, that's great. I'm going to go home. I'm going to say that. I'm going to use that. Like, it's just something that can be related to and then they go home and they're like, listen, like, would you ever stop brushing your teeth if they were clean enough? Is there ever a point in time that you would do that? And it just gets them thinking. Like, sometimes it's that one analogy that relates to people and they're like, oh, okay, yeah. People aren't going to remember they're going to remember like a third of what comes out of my mouth sometimes when it comes to education. So making it interesting, making it fun, making it relatable is really important. And, if you had asked me before I started my practice, what kind of practice I wanted or how I want to get referrals, and it would be through patients, right? That's the greatest compliment. That's the easiest. That's the best. And checking statistics this past week, over a third of my practice is referrals, internal patient referrals.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome.
And it's just about, again, it's like before I didn't know like what way I was going, and it's having those different systems and procedures that allow me to get that conversation going with the patient and allow my office staff to get that conversation for patient referrals. So it can be done.
Yeah. Have you ever considered this when we do whiteboard topics that are a conversation instead of a monologue? So whiteboard topic isn't, oh, here's my opportunity to just talk at my people. And for those of you watching, pop in the comment section, what is your most favorite whiteboard topic? Like, what is it? Whether it's a word or a question, I want to see them. So whiteboard topic conversations teach our practice. Like, that means we're role playing with our practice members to refer, right? Like you just said, she's like, oh, that's a good one. So now she's empowered to take that to refer, right? So all of you who aren't doing whiteboard topics, I'm telling you, it is the way to teach your practice members how to refer. Remember that practice members don't refer because they don't know the way, they don't know the how, they have no desire, or we haven't asked them, right? So how much better is it that we actually role play? Just like Renee was saying, it's so much better when she role plays with her staff. Well, can you imagine if you're serving 100 people a week and you're role playing referrals with them every day? You're going to have like this empowered army in your town to be talking about you. So way to go. All right. So as we wrap this up, let's talk about the boot camp. And I will tell any of you who are watching right now or will watch later, this tribe, this boot camp tribe, I'm telling you, is off the hook. I mean, it's incredible. And every week we add new content. And when I first kicked off the boot camp last year in April, there were 8 topics. Now there are 17 topics. And I've got number 18 in my head. Ooh. So it's a little bit exciting, I gotta tell ya. So what do you think about the boot camp, and why would it be a really good idea for somebody who's watching now or later to reach out to me? And at least wise, let's have a phone call. Like, there's no one that can deny that you're not seeing a lot about the boot camp and about incredible chiropractors like Dr. Renee who are kicking butt, having fun, and working smarter versus harder. So what advice do you have to somebody?
Yeah, it's all there. And I think that sometimes we're our own worst enemy, and we from a philosophical standpoint, like, we block ourselves, because if you don't know and you're like, oh my God, like the fear of the unknown a little bit. But not only, like I said before, even if there's not already a resource in the boot camp, you reach out, right? And post in the boot camp and say, hey, does anybody have this? Like, I can't tell you how many times, and there's someone's like, oh, I have this document, or does anybody have this? And it's a matter of, like, all the resources are there. Everything's there for you. It's really funny talking to nobody on the other side of the screen. So if I run out of things to say, I'm just going to keep going. So it's really about having all of those resources there in front of you, and being able to check in with other people that are both maybe in your same boat, or are where you want to be, essentially, because there's different people, right? People who are just starting out, who are just opening, who are exactly where you are in the boot camp, and the people who have gone over those hurdles that you're maybe looking to get over. It's all there. Like, again, I just go back to, it's not about reinventing the wheel because somebody's done it. Like, why put yourself through that? Like, if somebody has the resources and the topics and the information for you, just utilize that. Why wouldn't you? So, do
you feel like there's ever a way you could outgrow it?
No.
Like, do you feel like you could scale to a point where you're like, I've outgrown this? Why do you say that?
Because again, even I think when I first joined, it was in the beginning where you only had those 8 weeks, and now I'm just continuing to learn and continuing to grow. And I think even if you look back with somebody who was in practice 10, 15 years ago when social media wasn't such a way to attract patients and market to them, like, well, now it is, right? So what's going to change in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? So there's always going to be more to do. There's always going to be growth. Like, insurance is changing like all the time. So that training with Dr. Robin was huge. It's like, okay, how are you compliant now? And for her to even like have that offer too, to say, hey, we'll go through a mock audit with you. Like, let us do that for you so that you know that you're prepared. Like, that's the type of people that are doing this with us, right? These are the other boot camp members that are like, I will take the time to do this. I'll create this week for you so that you guys have this information. There's never a situation in the boot camp where someone's like, oh, I have it, but like, I'm not going to share it with you guys, right? It's always like, oh, I have something, or I have something too. I'll put it in the Dropbox or I'll upload it. It's people who genuinely want to see everybody else succeed. Which you don't find that anywhere else. There probably are other places, but I haven't found that anywhere else. And that's just one of those things. You have this constant support system and resources.
Yeah. And not junk either. Like,
no.
Dr. Matthew Loop, he's the leading social media revenue strategist in North America. And that's who's leading week 9 about Facebook and social media. Tristan Shaw from Kaira Sushi. Like, that dude is genius.
Yeah.
And he's always in there helping. And Dr. Matthew Norton, as Rebecca said, she loves the boot camp, so much value. Can't tell you how much I loved my consult with Dr. Norton. I know. I love my new website by Tristan. Absolutely. Social media training by Dr. Matthew Loop. And of course, all my boot camp buddies and Dr. Barb. Yeah. We're like, it's just, I've been reading Russell Brunson's book called Expert Secrets, and he talks about, to create a mass movement, you have to have a charismatic leader, a message, and I always forget this third part. And it's really interesting to see how the boot camp has like taken on this, like, we have our culture and our people, and it's so cool. So Dr. Renee, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Being a part of it. It was lots of fun. I'm excited for you to see all the cool stuff at Sushi. And you guys heard it here. She said she's hopefully coming to the slumber party. Yes. So you who are watching right now, you have to comment below if you're coming to the slumber party and boot camp intensive. And for those watching, it's not just for boot campers. Of course, I'm going to take care of my boot campers, and I've got a lot of special things for them. But here's the cool thing. You can join. Like, go to 56daycarebootcamp.com/apply. You're going to answer a couple questions so I know you better. And then we'll have a conversation, a coaching session, a real legitimate coaching session. And the end, if we decide we like each other, because I'm like, believe it or not, I'm testing you as much as you're testing me, because I'm bringing you into my tribe. Like, these are my people. And then I do walk everyone through the boot camp. Like, it's not just I turn you loose and good luck. Here's 17, going to be 18 weeks of material. Instead, I'll walk you through it. I'll give you a customized care plan. So it is really a great hybrid between private coaching and group coaching, because you get lots of, hey, let me ask you about that. Do you feel like you get support even though it's group coaching and not one-on-one?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I
Right
think,
on.
I mean, even more so sometimes because you've got different angles coming at it. And again, it's same thing with, there might be somebody who's either exactly in your same spot or has just gone over that hurdle. So I think the more kind of great minds that come together, different approaches and different angles to whatever it is you need help with.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, girl. Love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining, and to all of our tribe members, thanks for hanging out with us this Thursday evening. I look forward to seeing you all inside the boot camp. God bless you. Have a nice night. Bye.
Bye.